all calls are scheduled on a particular date. Okay, I've got that one for January 19th. And this particular one is scheduled for 1 o'clock on that day. Now, as a sales rep, when I schedule a call, one of the main things I decide is what is the urgency of this call, and how important is it that I make it at a particular time versus just make sure that I make it on that day. Internally here, we have a couple of policies about that. One is if you need to make the call at a particular time, you actually schedule it for a time during the workday. So this call is scheduled to happen at 1 o'clock on that day. That means that presumably the sales rep has decided that 1 o'clock is a good time to make that call based on, their past experience in reaching this person, or something they said about, give me a call in the afternoon of that day versus in the morning, something like that. Oftentimes, a lot of calls we've got scheduled for, in this case, 3, 4 in the morning. That's not because our sales rep expects to call them during that time, but she put them in at that time because she expects when she starts the day to look over her activities for the day and actually drag and drop them into the actual time slots when she's going to make those calls. If she's disciplined about it. Now, as you can see, these are past days, and she didn't actually do that with some of these, and she's let those fall into the past, and that's something else to talk about from a reporting and management standpoint. But presumably, if the discipline is being followed, these items get dropped into the day at the time when they're going to happen, or they get moved on to a future day when they will actually get handled. If you want to prevent your opportunities from falling through the cracks in GoldMine, it makes a lot of sense to take those items that you didn't manage to get to on that day and move them up to a day when you are likely to follow up on them. GoldMine has within it, of course, that ability to automatically schedule your past due items to roll them forward to another day. And that can be a nice thing if you have the discipline to follow up on those. If you don't have that discipline, what you wind up having is a big mass of calls scheduled that are just rolling forward from day to day, and none of them actually wind up getting made. In fact, the number of them winds up getting to be so many that you really no longer have an effective calendar. And how that relates to Mastermind, I think, is very important, because if you are the individual user trying to schedule your time, and you've got that mass of things that are rolling forward, you need to figure out a way to sort through those and get them back into a shape where you actually have a functioning calendar. It's hard for me to stress that enough, because I think that one of the great things about GoldMine is that ability to schedule your activity so that you have a logical workflow, but that you also have a discipline that follows through from day to day and allows you to get a lot more stuff done in the same amount of time as somebody who is just picking prospective calls out of a big barrel. When I say a big barrel, I've seen cases where they've got 200 or 300 calls scheduled to happen on a given day because the thing is just rolling forward and forward, and there's no way they're going to get those done. Not only that, every single day, half the time is spent just simply picking through that big list of things that they potentially could be doing instead of first planning their work. I used to have a sales manager who would always say, plan your work and work your plan. Plan your work means sit down at the beginning of some period of time, typically today, to plan your work for today or for this week or for this month, whatever it is. But plan your work first, then work your plan. Don't try to do the two simultaneously, because when you do, you muddle them both up and you wind up wasting a lot of time. And I have to say the vast majority of people really are in that category of doing the second thing.